Good afternoon, everyone. Dear Excellencies, distinguished speakers and participants, in the face of a gender gap that will now take 135 years to close. So how is that for our timing? I'd say we'd better roll up our sleeves and get to work. As I see since the beginning of this forum, so many inspiring people here at the WGS, my feeling is that together, men and women, we are a force. The subject of gender inequality is now no longer a side subject. It's mainstream, it's political, it's commercial, it's in the boardrooms, in the war rooms, in the schoolrooms. Now more than ever has it become more interesting to everyone, men and women alike, to address the collective toolbox that women and men together, side by side, can achieve. So talking to you about numbers, obviously during these opening remarks, was tempting and easy. But the truth is, I think we all know them by heart by now. And I also don't want to lose your attention so quickly. So let's focus only on that one takeaway. Women account today in 2022 for 70% of people living under $1 a day. $1 a day. And they represent 80% of the climate refugees. So yes, it's great, it's good. We have seen in the last century or in the last century and a half, a serious opportunity for women, a strong pathway. But what's not good is that it's still too narrow. Too much at the top without giving ordinary women, I would say, the power of choice. The ability to say yes and to say no is probably the strongest gift that we can give to any human being. And yet, too many women and too many girls are not being given that power. So this is something that must engage us to act, and to act fast. So our discussions today are therefore essential to ensure that women won't be forgotten when building our future. And our two sessions will participate in providing solutions to foster equality, diversity, and inclusion in two major areas where inequalities are prevalent: economy and scientific fields. The persistence of gender inequality in the workplace is an immense, immense waste of talent. So today we'll try to answer that simple question. What are we waiting for before giving women a place in the economy and promoting female leadership as a driving force of change? So the cost of gender bias is now qualified and quantified. While the rate of women's participation in the paid economy has been stagnating around 50% since the 90s, and legal discrimination against women continue in 155 countries, reducing inequality would lead to a global GDP increase of several billion of dollars. So it's a win-win. The Women's Forum was created in 2005 in France with a major and simple ambition: to raise women's voices and empowering them to become tomorrow's leader. So I'd like us today to learn from the speakers who are coming on stage just now and unite around their stories. Unite, I would say, around collective wisdom. In the last decade, the Women's Forum has also become the leading international platform for action. Our community now gathers more than 30,000 men and women across the globe to ensure that girls and women have the same opportunities as men globally. Our means of action to spread this essential message are diverse. We create data and reports to highlight the prevalence of gender inequalities and the urgency to reduce them. We also gather international leaders during our international forums to discuss the most pressing issues of our times and highlight women's voices on a variety of topics. We call leaders from the public and private sectors to commit and to act to foster gender equality and women's empowerment. Last year, we've published our annual barometer, comparing reality and perception on gender inequalities, which resulted in a striking way. Although 84% of the G20 population believe that closing the gender gap is one of the most important issues of our time, 1 in 2 people only think that the gender equality will never be achieved globally. So you see the challenge we have. As much as our mission is to give them hope, at the current rate, no country will achieve gender equality this decade. So to accelerate the pace, we need to sit women at the decision table, at the heart of policies, at the heart of programs, at the heart of pandemic recoveries. And we can't do that without boys and without men. I'd finish by reminding ourselves that gender equality is, as everyone knows and recognize, a key factor to overcome crises and to stabilize states and governments that are weakened by conflict. So no, today we won't spend our time talking about women as victims, but rather as warriors and active change makers. So we'll not talk about how to strengthen women. They are already very strong, but we'll talk about their strengths.